There is a kind of thirst you carry, a silent seeking that pulses beneath your skin in the quietest moments of your day. It is not a thirst for water or for company or even for success. It is something older, a hunger the modern world has no name for, and therefore cannot satisfy. You feel it as an emptiness, a persistent sense that a fundamental piece of your life's puzzle is missing. But what if this feeling isn't a sign of weakness, or that something is wrong with you? What if, in fact, it is the clearest proof of your strength, the echo of an ancestral memory that refuses to be forgotten? This hunger is your soul, refusing to accept the distractions you've been offered in place of true nourishment. The world around you was built to muffle this call. It offers a constant noise, a succession of goals and desires that keep your mind occupied and your heart anesthetized. It is a cleverly designed labyrinth, ensuring you never stop long enough to look within and ask, what am I truly seeking? This inner search, this journey toward your own divinity, was described by initiates as the great work. A silent elite throughout history has perfectly understood the nature of this divine spark that dwells in every human being. They didn't deny it, they studied it, and in understanding it, they chose to conceal it, not out of malice, but for control. They are counting on your forgetfulness. They count on you to believe that power is always outside of yourself, in a temple, in a guru, in a book, anywhere but within you. But the truth cannot be destroyed, only hidden. Before the dogmas that now separate and limit, there was direct knowledge, a wisdom that flowed like a river. In the mystery schools of ancient Egypt and Greece, one was not taught to worship, one was taught to become. Teachings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus revealed that the universe is not a physical place, but a living consciousness, and that the human mind is the key to navigating this reality. They whispered of sacred names and syllables that were not just words, but vibrational frequencies capable of aligning human consciousness with the mind of the universe. This was the secret map, not to find a god in the sky, but to awaken the god asleep in your own inner sanctuary. And that is why you feel what you feel. This pain of disconnection, this profound loneliness even when surrounded by people, this weariness from seeking answers in places that only give you more questions. None of this is by chance. The emotional void left by dogma is intentional. An individual who discovers their power of direct connection to the divine becomes sovereign, uncontrollable. Collective faith is a valuable resource for those who wish to maintain power structures, but your personal gnosis, your lived direct knowledge, is a threat to those structures. Therefore, I want you to understand, here and now, that your pain is not a sign that you are lost. On the contrary, it is your guide. It is your inner compass pointing firmly in the only direction that matters, the way back home to the world within yourself. And so, here we are, at the threshold of the first hidden truth. Before we proceed, take a deep breath. Allow your body to settle into this moment. What you are about to hear may resonate with a part of you that has felt deeply misunderstood. You perform the rituals, light the candles, recite the words you were taught. You seek with sincerity. And yet, in the end, a feeling of stagnation remains, a stillness that is not peace, but absence. You ask yourself what you did wrong, why the promised connection always seems just out of reach. This vibrational blockage is not your fault. It is a symptom. It is the sign that you have, unknowingly, been bowing before a mirror, worshipping a fabricated image, and not the living divine that pulses within you. Think about this for a moment. Power structures over the centuries have specialized in creating images of God that serve their purposes. They used grand invocations and ceremonies not to facilitate your personal transcendence, but to shape collective belief, to project the image of an external, judgmental, and distant God. A God who requires intermediaries, stone temples, and authorized spokespeople. By participating in these rituals, even with the best intentions, you attune your energy to this collective thought form, this image in the mirror. And an image, no matter how beautiful, is just a reflection. It cannot nourish you. It cannot answer you. It can only keep you trapped, looking outward, when all the power has always been within. The great revelation, the truth that sets you free, is devastatingly simple. True communion completely ignores intermediaries. The creative force of the universe, the consciousness some call God, does not respond to ceremonies, dogmas, or memorized words. It responds to one thing only: your frequency, the silent truth of your heart, the vibration your being emanates when it is stripped of all the masks and all the beliefs that have been imposed upon you. Connection is not something you need to build. It is something you need to allow by removing the layers that block it. You do not need permission to speak with the divine. You only need to remember how to become silent so that you can listen. And there is a way to begin cleaning this tarnished mirror, an ancient and subtle practice. At the end of the day, as the sky is tinged with the colors of twilight, find a place where you can be in silence for a few minutes. Close your eyes. Instead of asking or praying with words, focus on a single syllable, the primordial sound, A-U-M. But do not chant it with your throat. Feel it. Feel the vibration being born in the center of your chest, rising through your throat, and gently resonating in the center of your skull. Let this vibration be your only prayer. Let it dissolve, layer by layer, the images, the doctrines, the guilt. Do not wait for an answer in words. The answer will be a shift in your own frequency, a clarity that emerges from the silence. It is patient work, like polishing antique silver. You don't create the shine. You simply remove what prevents it from being seen. Once you begin to clean the mirror, another layer of the veil is revealed. It's a subtle but persistent experience. You meditate, you practice silence, but a kind of mental fog insists on remaining. It is not physical fatigue. It is a static in your consciousness, a background noise that prevents total clarity. This fog is proof that your inner antenna, your divine receiver, is still tuned to the frequency of third parties, and not to your own sacred channel. You strive to hear the voice of your soul, but the signal is weak, overlapped by countless other transmissions that are not yours. This happens because your neurology, your own brain, has been conditioned to operate on a limited frequency band. What the mystery traditions have always known, and what modern science is just beginning to scratch the surface of, is that consciousness is not merely a product of the brain. It interacts with it. Occult orders, for millennia, did not only dedicate themselves to philosophy, they were laboratories of neural alchemy. They developed secret and precise protocols for stimulating the pineal gland, not for vague mysticism, but to deliberately amplify psychic reception. They knew that this small organ in the center of the brain was the biological bridge between the visible and invisible worlds. The antenna capable of picking up the most subtle frequencies of reality. They learned how to tune it, and they kept this knowledge to themselves. But herein lies the unexpected turn, the hidden beauty of our time. The knowledge that once required decades of initiation in a closed order now emerges in fragments, disguised as mental hacks or biohacking practices. The truth is, you do not need a formal initiation to reconstruct these ancestral rites. You only need the right intention and the precise technique. The power to recalibrate your own neural antenna is in your hands. You can right now begin the process of retuning your inner radio, moving away from the collective static to find the clarity of your own station. The practice to begin this alchemy is a daily pineal primer. In the morning, right after waking, before the external world captures your attention, sit comfortably. Take a few deep breaths. Now, gently, without forcing, bring your ocular focus to the tip of your nose. Stay like this for 10 seconds, just feeling the convergence. Then, shift your focus to a distant point in front of you, as if looking through the wall to infinity. Hold for another 10 seconds. Alternate between these 2 points a few times, combining the movement with a slow breath and a gentle hold at the top of the inhale. You are literally waking up a dormant circuit. It's like adjusting the tuner on an old radio. Most people spend their entire lives listening only to the static, believing that's all there is, never realizing that with a small conscious adjustment, an entire symphony was waiting to be heard. As your inner antenna begins to attune and the fog dissipates, you become sensitive to a deeper void. It is a yearning for intimacy, a desire to relate to the divine, not as an abstract concept, but as a living, pulsating presence. And you realize that the language you have been given for this communion seems limited, emptied of its power. The sacred words you have learned, no matter how devotedly you repeat them, do not seem to carry the necessary vibration to open the doors of your heart. This feeling is real. The sacred language that has come down to us has been largely sanitized, filtered through centuries of theological control to remove its transformative power. In fragments of ancient texts, like those discovered in Nag Hammadi, Egypt, we find clues of a deliberately suppressed truth. These Gnostic writings suggest the existence of primordial names, names of power that were methodically erased from the official canons. The theological guardians feared these names because they were not mere labels, they were keys. They understood that certain combinations of sounds produced measurable effects on human consciousness, that they were capable of awakening dormant faculties and providing direct, unmediated access to the source of creation. They didn't want you to have the key. They wanted you to knock on the door that they controlled. The revelation here is that each of these forgotten names corresponds to a unique vibration, a specific frequency that resonates with filaments of your spiritual DNA that currently lie dormant. Think of this not as biological DNA, but as the energetic signature of your soul. By rediscovering and chanting one of these sounds, you are not just pronouncing an ancient word. You are activating a dormant potential within your own being. You are literally remembering a part of yourself that was forced into oblivion. This is not about finding the one true name of God, but about finding the true name of your connection to God. And this rediscovery is an intimate act, an archaeology of the soul. There is a way to begin this search, a ritual in 3 parts. For 3 consecutive nights before you fall asleep, take a notebook and write down the same question, feeling every word. What is the sound my soul yearns to remember? Place the notebook by your bed and sleep. When you wake up, before anything else, write down any fragment of sound, symbol, or feeling that emerged from your dream, no matter how strange it seems. On the 3rd night, observe what has been repeated or what has caught your attention the most. That sound, that syllable, is your starting point. Whisper it to yourself. Feel its vibration in your chest. Each name rediscovered in this way is like finding the missing digit in a complex lock. With every sound you recover, a new chamber of consciousness opens within you, revealing inner landscapes you never knew existed. As you begin to discover your own sacred sounds, a new, subtle trap presents itself on the path. It is an inner saboteur that disguises itself as spiritual virtue. The repetition of affirmations and mantras that you did not generate, but borrowed. You read them in books, hear them from gurus, and repeat them with the hope of reprogramming your mind. However, the result is often the opposite. An inexplicable drain on your vital energy. A feeling that, despite all the effort, something remains inauthentic. This happens because these borrowed affirmations, when repeated without a real inner connection, create thought forms, energetic constructs that do not serve your soul, but instead feed the energy of their original creator. The psychological trigger here is profound and rarely discussed. Your brain, in its function of creating neural pathways, does not distinguish the origin of the instruction. By repeating a belief formulated by someone else, you create a neural loop that obeys the original architect of that affirmation, not your own sovereignty. It's like installing software on your system that was programmed with someone else's intentions, limits, and worldview. You might even feel an initial boost of positivity, but over time you realize you are operating within a belief system that is not yours, that does not fit perfectly into your inner landscape. And this dissonance, this lack of alignment, is what consumes your energy. The counterintuitive turn, the truth that frees you from this trap, is that the only affirmations that possess real transformative power in your life are those that emerge spontaneously from within you. They do not come from an external script. They are born from the silence of your inner vision. They are the words your soul whispers when you finally stop trying to impose a narrative and simply become willing to listen. These emergent affirmations may not sound as poetic or grandiose as the ones you've read, but they carry your frequency, your unmistakable truth. And because of that, they have the power to reshape your reality. To cultivate these soul-born mantras, the practice is an invitation to deep listening. In your moment of meditation, instead of repeating something, simply become silent and ask your being a question. What is the phrase or the word that my soul needs to hear and express today? And then, wait. Listen without judgment. It may be something as simple as, I allow myself to rest, or my strength is in my silence, or just a single word like root or flow. When this unique phrase arrives, welcome it. Repeat it gently to yourself throughout the day, not as an obligation, but as a remembrance. Do this for 21 days and observe the change. Using borrowed affirmations is like wearing armor that belongs to someone else. It may seem protective, but it was forged for another's battles, and will inevitably restrict your movements and protect a path that is not your own. As you remove the borrowed armor and begin to listen to your own voice, you become aware of the quality of your silence, especially during the night. Perhaps you suffer from insomnia or a fragmented sleep that doesn't restore you. You wake up tired, as if a part of you has been working all night without rest. This nocturnal disturbance is a profound sign. It is your internal DMT workshop, your pineal gland, signaling that it is either overwhelmed by artificial stimuli or undervalued in its sacred function. The night, which should be a portal for reconnection and receiving insights, has become just another battlefield for your mind. Ancient Hermetic texts, long before modern science, did not refer to the pineal gland merely as a third eye. They described it as the divine organ, the biological antenna exquisitely designed to be the reception point for the frequency of God. They understood that this small gland in the center of the head was the physical seat where the most subtle vibrations of the cosmos were translated into conscious perception, into dreams, into intuition. It was the gateway to realities that exist beyond the reach of the 5 physical senses. A gateway that has, for most, been slowly closed and forgotten. The revelation that was guarded by initiates is that the tuning of this organ was not left to chance. They utilized specific sound rhythms, binaural frequencies that, when heard, induced the brain to enter states of resonance that activated the pineal gland in a safe and controlled manner. This subtle technology, which harmonizes biology with spirit, was largely lost to the public, replaced by the random noise of the modern world. But the technology has not disappeared. It simply awaits rediscovery by those who feel the call to hear the symphony that hides behind the static. And you can begin to prepare your internal instrument tonight. The practice is a protocol of nocturnal harmonization. When you lie down with headphones, play a sequence of 2 tones at an extremely low volume, almost at the threshold of hearing. The frequencies of 432 Hz and 528 Hz are a good starting point. Do not focus on the music. Just allow the sound waves to wash over your silence. You are not trying to hear something with your physical ears. You are preparing the receptive matrix of your pineal gland, adjusting its resonance so that it can pick up finer vibrations. It is exactly like the organist who, hours before the service, tunes the great organ of a cathedral. He must harmonize every pipe, every register of the instrument, so that at the right moment, he is able to play the divine chords that will fill the entire sacred space. When your inner instrument is finally tuned, a final dissonance emerges with painful clarity. It is the feeling of having a purpose, of carrying a secret mission, but living a life that seems disconnected from it. You move through the world fulfilling your tasks, but inside, a feeling that you should be somewhere else, doing something else, haunts you. This is the clearest evidence that your personal record in the Great Akashic Record, the library that holds the memory of your soul, remains inaccessible to you. You feel the call, but you cannot read the map. This library is not a myth. It is a vibrational field of information, the living memory of the universe. And the elite, in their various forms throughout history, have always known of its existence and have jealously guarded the methods to access it. They feared, and still fear, that the democratization of this direct access to collective and personal memory would instantly dissolve their authority, which is based on the control of information. They prefer that you feel lost, doubting your purpose, because a soul that doubts itself is a soul that seeks answers outside, in the systems they have created. But the greatest of all revelations, the most well-kept secret, is that opening your personal window to the Akasha is infinitely simpler than they have led you to believe. It does not require complex rituals, secret initiations, or intermediaries. It requires a single technology that you already possess in abundance: the coherence of your heart. Your heart, when in a state of gratitude and calm, generates a powerful and orderly electromagnetic field, a field that acts as the master key, capable of tuning into and decoding the subtle information of the Akashic field. The door to your soul's library is not in your mind. It is in the pulse of your heart. To begin accessing this wisdom, there is a daily practice of profound simplicity, the heart echo pause. Once a day, preferably at noon when the world's energy is at its peak, stop for just 1 minute, wherever you are. Place your hand over your chest, feeling the warmth and the gentle rhythm. Close your eyes, inhale deeply, and as you breathe in, bring the question or doubt that weighs most heavily on you into your heart. It doesn't need to be in words, just feel the question, and then, as you exhale slowly through your mouth, release the need for an answer. Just listen to the silence that follows the exhalation. The answer will not come as a logical thought. It will come as a feeling, a sudden clarity, a new perception, an impulse to act. It is like looking at the timeline of your existence through an ancient stained glass window. At first, everything seems confusing, but when you focus your light through the center, through your heart, the kaleidoscope aligns and the sacred image is revealed. The priming of your pineal gland, the names your soul whispers, the alchemy of your own neurology. Look at the path we have traveled. These are not esoteric fantasies, nor secrets belonging to a shadowy elite. They are technologies of the soul. They are your birthright, the inheritance that was hidden from you, but could never be truly stolen, for it lives in your very constitution. Every time you sit in silence to tune your antenna, every time you honor the mantra that emerges from your heart, you are not just healing yourself. You are performing a revolutionary act. You are remembering who you were before you were taught to forget. And herein lies the final power that dissolves any monopoly on the divine. Every conscious practice, every moment of authentic connection inscribes a new entry in your Akashic record. You cease to be a mere reader of your soul's history and become its author. The power of the elite has always been based on their ability to be the sole source of knowledge. But when you learn to read your own library and write your own chapters, their authority dissolves like smoke. You become the source. You become the temple. You become the key. From the ancient scrolls of Thoth, which spoke of the correspondence between what is above and what is below, to advanced neurophysics, which is beginning to understand the power of the observer to shape reality, the path has always been the same. The truth is timeless. The path to God, to the source, to the great mystery, is not a ladder you need to climb, but a door within that you need to open. And it has always been unlocked, waiting patiently for your touch, for your recognition. The path is open now for those who dare to tune in. The choice, as always, comes back to you at this very moment. You can file this knowledge away as something interesting and return to the noise of the world. Or you can choose. you can begin your sovereign reign. Choose today, now. Choose one practice, just one. Chant the forgotten name your soul has revealed. Prepare your pineal gland for tonight's silent symphony. Or take the heart echo pause, feeling the pulse of the universe in your chest. It doesn't matter which you choose. The act of choosing consciously is already the first decree of your new kingdom. Begin. Initiate your sovereign reign in the divine kingdom. You are the key. You always were. If this journey has resonated in your spirit, leave a silent acknowledgement in the comments. An affirmation not for the world, but for your own soul. To continue on this journey of remembrance and awakening, we invite you to subscribe to the channel and like this video. And remember, it is not about what you want, but about who you are.